Per tutti I miei giorni tu mi curerai e resterai vicino a me. Per tutti I miei giorni la tua fedeltà mi seguirà e mi guiderà. Per tutti I miei giorni tu mi curerai. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Pastor Diana, and today, the step of today is called Dialoguing with God. And because it is dialoguing with God, look, I have no papers with me, because it's nothing that I can really, follow. I don't want to follow it on a piece of paper. I want to talk from my heart, because the relationship that we can have with God is so amazing. I mean, He will be your best love story. I know many girls look for a love story. They look for that blue prince that will come with a horse, and God is that prince, and He will honor His love for you. He will honor His respect for you. He loves you so much that He died for you. And I don't want to seem superficial. I'm really saying it with all my heart, because God was able to sweep me off my feet, literally. He was my first love. I met Him when I was 17 years old. I had a Catholic background until I was 12 years old, and then I abandoned the church like every good Catholic does, usually here in Italy. And you just forget about God. And I didn't really know Him before. I had a sympathy, but I didn't really know Him. And when I was 17 years old, I finished my high school and I went to university in the States. And that's when the love of God picked me up. And I felt so alone. And there was such an emptiness in my heart. I could be amongst so many people, but inside I was just yelling for someone that was real, and for something that could fill my life. And I always thought, when I was 13, I wrote a poem, and I thought, ooh, everything is perfect, and I'm under a tree, and there's silence. I was 13. It was my first little poem. But I wrote, there's a feeling of emptiness. And that feeling of emptiness never left my heart from when I was 13 to when I was 18. And I'm going to explain why. So 18 was when I started meeting the Lord. Actually, I had a revelation of God on the day of my 19th birthday. And when I was coming close to meeting Him, and I'll explain how I met Him, something inside of me had to stop and say, Diana, you wrote that poem when you were 13 years old and you felt so empty. And you've tried so hard, even here at university, to fill yourself up. So you filled yourself up with friends, you filled up yourself with knowledge, you filled up yourself with sports. But are you still lonely? And my answer to myself was, yes, I am. And that was one of the things that pushed me towards God, because I thought, hey, I have money, I have an education, I have friends, I have a boyfriend, I have various things. Why is it that I'm feeling so lonely still? All the things of the world have not been able to fill my void. And so a girl came and played the guitar, and she talked about Jesus. I didn't like Jesus, and I thought, I was in South Carolina at the moment, because it was before I went up to Cornell, and the Bible Belt. So there was a church at every corner, and I thought, why are there so many churches? I mean, I want more bars. And not that I used to go to bars, but it was just the idea that I just didn't want any churches. I was pro-abortion. I was just everything Christians were against. I was pro. At least I was like, everybody can make their own decisions. Don't impose yours on us. But I was very, actually the Christians there at Winthrop University, they used to know me because I was so animate in talking against Christian beliefs. But then, actually, I was even a good girl. I mean, I didn't do all these negative things, but I don't know, I just had my own opinions. So they invited me to this concert, this Christian girl, and I saw that as she was singing and talking about Jesus, people were really touched, and now I know it was the Holy Spirit. And I thought, gee, something was attracting me to her, and it was the Holy Spirit, because I could see God's presence in her. And she she had something I didn't have. She had that peace, she had that love, she had that grace. And it was just like, wow, I'm so impressed. I want to understand who she serves, this Jesus that she so loves. So by divine coincidence, this girl was actually sleeping at my friend's house, that she was the one who talked to me about Jesus. And I was able to meet this person, this guitar player and songwriter, and I was able to talk with her. But everything that she said for Christ, I would have a good argumentation against it. And I remember even one of her phrases at the end, she was saying, Diana, I don't know what to tell you anymore, because you just have a good counter proposal to everything I propose. But there was something that really touched me, and I gave God a chance, and He touched me within 1 week. What I did is she told me, why don't you go read the book Mere Christianity of C.S. Lewis? If you've never read it, go read that book, especially if you're at the beginning of your faith. It's really good. That book touched me a lot. And then I started reading the Gospel of John. And every day, from the moment I started talking to her, from that concert, I would spend at least 2 hours, God was really calling me, reading the Gospel of John and reading pieces of Mere Christianity. And it was the day of my birthday, my 19th birthday. It was the 31st of January. I remember I was reading the Gospel of John, and I thought, whoa, it's true. All of a sudden, my eyes were open. What he's saying is true. He really is the Son of God. The Bible is the true message. And everything just became clear. God exists. Jesus is His Son. He died for us. It's all true. I knew it, but I didn't know it. So now I knew it for revelation. And what happened is I actually was saved on the 4th of February. So from the 31st to the 4th, I think it was like from a Friday to a Monday. And it took me the whole weekend to decide, okay, shall I follow this Jesus that I now understood is the Son of God? Because many people do believe Jesus is the Son of God, but I don't want to follow Him. I have my life. Maybe one day I'll give my life to God. Maybe one day I'll be a missionary somewhere. And life is short, You don't know when you're going to live, and you don't know when you're going to die. And I remember that Monday, 4th of February, it was the 5:30 at night. I said, you know what? I know who you are now. I'm going to serve you, and I'm going to respect you, and I want you in my life. So I was 10 pages from the end of the book of C.S. Lewis, Mere Christianity, and I wanted to finish the book and then give my life to Jesus, but there was such a strong calling on my life, and I thought, I can't go on. So I stopped, I put the book down, and in my simple little heart way, I wrote him a poem, which I still have at home in the book, because I wrote it on the book, and I didn't know exactly how to refer myself to God, but basically what I said is come into my life, change my life. I want to know you, and I want to serve you. I don't want to just know you. I want to serve you. And I started crying and crying after I finished that poem, and I put on the song of this songwriter, and it was called all of me, take all of me, all that I have, all that I'm not, everything. And I gave all my life to God. I said, take all of me. And there's a lot that is not working and is not fine. But if you can, here I am. This is my best. This is my worst. I'm going to give it to you. And when I got up from that prayer, which lasted from 1 to 2 hours, I mean, I was really, all my heart was being poured out before God. When I got up, I was a totally different person. In a split second, I knew God existed, and I knew the devil existed. In the same moment, I understood good and evil are fighting against each other. And from there, my cussing, I mean, I didn't cuss that much, but I did have sometimes a bad language, completely gone. Like my mouth was washed. My thoughts, I didn't struggle that much with bad thoughts, but everything was just reset. You know how reset button? And I'm not saying I never had some trouble since, because obviously, you know, we live in the world and we have to tackle with ourselves, and we have to work out our salvation with fear and trembling, like the word says. But everything changed from that moment. The lights were on, and I was like, wow, this is all true, and I'm going to spend the rest of my life. So many, more than 20 years have passed from that 1991, and as I'm recording, it's 2015, and I've never looked back. And I've had some very hard times as well, but I never ran away from the faith. I never backslided, even with all the problems that I might have had in this 20 years, because more than 20 years, every Sunday I would just go back to His presence and back to His presence and back to His presence, because God, He wants us in His presence. And I know that sometimes when you feel so guilty, the first thing you want to do is run away from God. Instead, He wants you in His presence. And I don't know if you know God, and sometimes you think, oh, I'm so dirty. God is saying, I want you in my presence. I want you dirty. I want you broken. I want you with sin. I want you with anything you have. I know how to deal with you. I just want you. I want you in my presence. I gave my life. I gave my son for you. He gave his life for you, because I want you to be mine, because there is no greater treasure than having God in your life. So the thing that is most amazing for me about God is that He gives us of Himself. Okay? The devil, when he tempted Jesus on that mountain, he said, look at all the things of the world, and they can be yours if you adore me. The devil wasn't giving of himself. He was giving of the things. But God instead gives us His paternity. And Jesus was able to say, and we by the Spirit of God are able to say, Abba, Father, which means daddy, father. So God doesn't just give us the things of the world, He gives us Himself. And I want to tell you this story which really touched me. I was about 2 years into my conversion. I was still in the States, and you know, as you know, because you're probably listening in, so you're probably American or English or something, but you speak English. America is beautiful. Some places of America is just, wow, amazing. Some places of Italy are amazing as well, just on a different level, because we have all the architecture and stuff, and that is just amazing. But talking about nature, America is just incredible. So one day I was going, we were just going on a trip, and we were just going up a mountain, you know, with some friends, and we went up this mountain. And when I got up there, okay, and I was in communion with God, and I looked at, I could see like, whoa, miles and miles and miles. I mean, it was all clear, you know, beautiful day. And I thought, oh, wow, all the earth. And I thought, God, you gave us all the earth is ours, is your gift to us. But at the same time, when I said that, all of a sudden there was a feeling of loneliness, and I said, but Lord, of sadness. And I told the Lord, I said, Lord, even if you give me everything, even if you give me the whole world, and it's so beautiful, I would be lost without you. I would be lost without your presence. And I understood that day, I said, you're my greater gift. You're my greatest gift. And I understood that his presence, his being in my life is the greatest gift that I could ever have. And then we came down from the mountain, and as we were going home, we were passing by little cities, and I was just in the back of the car, I was looking out, and all of a sudden the Spirit of God takes my attention and says, do you see the people? And basically there was a big, beautiful church. I mean, mega big and mega beautiful. And there were such beautiful people outside. They were all with their tie and with their nice dresses. We could see that they were like going in for some reunion and for some meeting, and they were so beautiful. So God said, do you see these people? And I said, yeah, God. Do you see how beautiful they are? How well they're dressed? I said, yeah, wow, it's really beautiful. He said like this, in the same way that you feel so lonely when I give you all the world but not myself, that's the same way that I feel sad when you humans give me all the exterior, your clothes, the nice church and everything else, but you don't give me your heart. And I thought about that passage that says, you honor me with your lips, but your heart is far away from me. And I don't want that in my relationship with God. I don't want to go to church because I have to, or because now I have responsibility, so I go. I always want to keep such a loving relationship. I want to give him me, and I want him to give me himself. And I don't care what gifts he can give me. I mean, it's great, and I do pray, for this and for that. And of course, it's part of intercession and the prayer of request to be able to ask many things. But the most important time that we can have with God is when we are simply with him. Because there is nothing that a child wants more than having his father present. And it doesn't matter if his father is rich, gives him a computer, gives him a house, and you know what they'll say? They'll say, my father, he never gave me his love. He just gave me things, and that just left such an emptiness in my heart. So we need to, since God gives us his presence, since he is not that absent father, we need to really be able to come again and again, day after day, moment after moment, each time, stay in his presence and be able to just love him and hug him and love the time with him. And there's nothing perfect or unperfect that we can do in prayer. Sometimes I throw myself on the couch. Many times I laugh. Many times I start laughing, I finish up crying. Other times I start crying and I finish up laughing because God will change my sorrow into dancing. One time I was really, I was so heartbroken one day, and God spoke to me with a Bible verse, and I ended up literally like jumping on the couch, and I was so excited because God gives us himself. And so there is, if you wanna lie down on the floor, if you wanna go on your knees, if you wanna stand up, if you wanna walk, if you wanna be quiet, whatever it is, if you wanna cry, everything is prayer. When we are in God's presence, there is no, now I have to be rigid, and the first 10 minutes I ask forgiveness, then I pass on to the praise, and from the praise I pass on to the adoration, and from the adoration then I finish up, and that'll just be my perfect prayer. No, it's not like that, because it's a love story. And sometimes you'll go into prayer and God's gonna be like, what did you just do with your friend? You just spoke bad in such a harsh way. Won't you just call him and say you're sorry? So maybe you stop prayer a second, you obey, you call the person, you're like, I'm so sorry for the way I treated you. And you talk, you clear it out, you put down the phone, you start talking with God again, and he'll be like, oh, good job, or anything. I mean, I love to I love to joke with God. One time my mom had a cat that she hated, and we were at a prayer reunion. She hated because he was like really mean and non-affectionate, and he was like never die. Now he's died, and we didn't put him to death. He just died in a natural way, and it was such a weight for my mom. And I remember we were there with Pastor Roslyn, and she was saying, now each one of us, God is telling us that we all have to put our weights before the throne of grace, before the feet of Jesus, because he wants to take care of our weights. And all of a sudden, God whispers in my heart and says, if your mom was here, she'd put down the cat. And I just started laughing. And that's my God. That's my God. And there is that it's important to just be able to go with the flow and include him. And God is such an incredible Father, and he's an incredible doctor as well. All your pains and all the problems that you have, he's not scared. There's not a problem, there's not a sin, there's not a situation that will really worry him or think, oh, this one I can't handle, or oh, this one is too big to forgive. Now you really blew it. No, for him, everything is okay. Everything is okay. And I want to just tell you this story, the true story, okay? I've had to go through 6 operations. And my doctor was in Miami, Florida, because my parents researched the best doctor in the world. So they would take me from Milan, fly me over to Florida. Thank God they had the financial means to do that. And I would get operated by Millard. And he was the best. And I would go in broken, and I would come out healed. It's exactly like it is with God, with us. We just need to put ourselves on that operating table, and really there's nothing we can do about fixing our situations sometimes. And you know how they say that live offerings, sacrifices run away from the sacrificing table? We need to get on that operating table and say, God, here is my life. You know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to come back to your presence and come back to your presence and come back to your presence and stay on that operating table. You can do what you want. You are the best doctor in the world. And I have found no other doctor that can heal my heart as well as he does. And so I've learned through all the hard times that I have passed to be able to put that heart on that operating table and be able to say, do as you will. Do as you will. I'm not going to run away. I'm not going to give my heart to other people who will not take care of me. Of course, I have handed pieces of my heart to people that God has shown me that will help, that were part of my healing. But sometimes instead, when I did it alone, people would just break my heart instead of healing it. And so I thought, wait, let me go to God and let him deal with me. And then if he adds people, that's perfect. Because sometimes, the doctor, he does have people around him who will help him, passing the instruments and just help him in the technicalities of the operation. And that's how it is with God. He commands. He knows what job is best to do on your heart. And sometimes he will call, okay, you can do this and you can do this, but it's under his leadership. So we've given our hearts to the doctor, and then he will maybe sometimes call other people to help. But when other people become idols in our life, I've learned this as well, God closes a door and says, no, come to me. Sometimes when we smash against that closed door, God is closing it because he wants you to learn that heart, put it in my hands because I am the best doctor of the world. And you don't have to go on the other side of the planet. I'm exactly here where you are, and I want to help you. And I have a panoramic of how things have to be dealt with. And if I think that you need help from other people, I will bring other people, and I will. And they will help you, and they will be my extended hand to do this or to do that in the operation that I'm coordinating. And another amazing factor is that God is a doctor, the best doctor in the world, but God is also a father. And what I've learned, I've always knew this, that my father had asked Dr. Millard, Ralph Millard, he's the best for cleft palates, to go and see the operation. So Dr. Millard, which kind of, he started becoming friends with my dad because he was so astonished that, from the other side of the world, plus my dad was head of Time magazine in Italy and he was American. I mean, there was a whole thing that they became friends, and Dr. Millard allowed my father to go see the operations with all the things that one has to wear. But I never knew, I found out like a couple of years ago, that my father asked to go into the operation because he wanted Dr. Millard to do the best job. And he knew that if he was there and that if he was present, Dr. Millard would do the best job because he knew the father was there. And so he would take more care than all the others. And this is just to say that God himself, he's a doctor. Of course, he's perfect with every case. But this is just to make a point that he's also a father. My father, before my operation, he used to prepare me. He says, okay, you're going to go in. They're going to give you a shot. Then they're going to put the little mask. They're going to give you a shot in the morning or something like that. They're going to put the mask. They're going to do this. And when you come out, this is how you're going to appear, and this is what's going to have. This is what is going to be changed. And he was there before. Even my mom, great person, always rooting for me. She didn't physically go in, but she was right outside, rooting for me. So a great source of comfort, both my parents. So I would go in, and Dad would prepare me. Then Dad would be with me during the operation, even though I didn't see him. And then he would be there with Mom when I came out. And that is just that's how God is. He is the one who will operate you. But at the same time, he's the one who's going to prepare you. He's the one who's going to be with you and who's going to empathize with you. And he knows that operating is very painful. So he will be the one that even as soon as you finish the operation, he will be the one to hug you and to nurture you and to make you feel like you're not alone. And that even if it is hurting, because some rehabs just hurt. I mean, that's the way it is. But he's always there before, during, after. And he always wants to make sure, even when he uses other people, that they're doing the best job in your life. And that's the amazing God we have. So with this recording, I just want to push you in God's direction. I don't know who God is for you. I don't know what relationship you have with God, but have it all and enjoy it all and go for it and let it be your best investment. I don't care if you're spending 5 hours with your best friend. Go to God. Spend 6 hours with God, because he is just the incredible and he wants to be there for you. And at the beginning it's a little hard because you think, how does God speak? How do I understand? Will I get bored? Maybe at the beginning you will get bored. Like with any other person that you meet, you just don't know what to say. You're going up the elevator and you don't know everyone, and the elevator, which is like 30 seconds, seems like an hour, and then you're like, oof, okay, thank God it's over. Instead, be at home with God. Run into his arms. Run again into his arms. And if you think that he has something against you, or if you have anything, that you think separates you from him, just bring it to him. God, maybe I'm mad. Maybe I just don't understand the way you acted, and I've closed my heart. It's been a year that I haven't talked to you, but make sure you keep on going and keep on presenting your heart to God, because he is just the best that you can have. There is no one better than him. And this is just my desire towards you, to push you towards having your own, it won't be like mine, your own personal relationship with God. And this is the only, I've thought about this. This is the only step where I don't want to pray for you, because I want to allow God to pray for you. And I want to allow you to pray with God. And I want you to have your own special time. I don't have to be in it. This is just a little push on my side. So when you're going to close this recording in just a little bit, make sure you put some music on or whatever you want to do it. It has to be, it can be as you desire, but allow him to work deeply in your heart, because he wants you and he wants to give himself to you. So God bless you, and I'll see you at the next step. Say hi to God for me, okay, in your personal time. Ciao, ciao.
Tutti I miei giorni tu mi curerai e resterai vicino a me. Per tutti I miei giorni la tua fedeltà mi seguirà e mi guiderà. Per tutti I miei giorni tu mi curerai. Yeah.